Hey there. So, you're curious about how this whole LLM thing is going to like really shake things up in the business world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, get this. We're diving deep into this Harvard Business Review article, and it's less about like finding that file you lost in your downloads folder.
Right.
And way more about how companies are going to use LLMs to like uncover insights that they didn't even know they were sitting on.
It's true. This isn't just about making search faster,
Yeah.
It's really about like fundamentally changing how businesses interact with their own data.
Yeah, the article really paints this picture of moving away from like clicking through endless search results and instead actually having a conversation with your data.
Imagine being able to like ask a question in plain English, right?
Right.
And the LLM doesn't just give you a list of documents, but actually like summarizes the key points, pulling information from across your entire organization.
It'd be like having your own personal research assistant who's like memorized every company memo, policy document, and even like lines of code.
And it's closer than you might think. We're already seeing this, conversational approach popping up in like in web searches.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
But the HBR article really zeroes in on the potential when you bring this tech inside a company. It's what they call retrieval augmented generation.
Right.
RAGs for short.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
See, most LLMs today are trained on, these massive data sets of publicly available information.
Right.
Which is amazing, but it also means they might not know, like, the specifics of your business.
Right, like how my LLM keeps recommending pizza places in Chicago. Really hasn't figured out. I'm on the West Coast.
Exactly. But with RAG, you're essentially giving the LLM a curated knowledge base that's relevant to like the task at hand.
So instead of just spitting out something generic, it can pull directly from, let's say, your company's internal policy documents.
Precisely. This not only makes the information retrieval far more reliable,
but
it also cuts down on the risk of those, those hallucinations everyone's talking about.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Yeah. Fewer AI hiccups are always a plus in my book.
Sure.
But tell me more about these hallucinations. Like, why is RAG supposed to be better at dodging those?
It all comes down to the data. When an LLM is pulling from, the vast, unfiltered expanse of the internet, there's a higher chance of it, making inaccurate or nonsensical connections.
Kind of like how I try to assemble furniture without reading the instructions.
Exactly. But with RAG, the LM is working with a focused data set that's already been vetted and organized. It's like giving the LLM a set of instructions it can actually rely on.
Okay.
Which dramatically reduces the chances of it, going off the rails.
So it's less about the LLM being like, quote unquote, smarter?
Right. And more about it having the right information at its fingertips.
Precisely. And the article highlights how this is already having like a real world impact. For example, one company they profiled used RAG to completely revamp their call center operations.
No more endless hold music and generic responses.
Exactly.
Tell me more.
Absolutely. Imagine a system where customer service agents have like instant access to a knowledge base that's not just, comprehensive, but also tailored to the specific customer they're talking to.
So no more like scrolling through pages of FAQs or putting people on holds while they try to find the right answer.
Right.
That sounds like a win for everyone involved.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you think about how this could transform software development.
Oh, okay. Now you've really got my attention. What's the HBR article say about that?
Well, they talk about how RAG can be used to streamline the entire software development life cycle. So instead of, devs wasting time digging through documentation or trying to track down like obscure code snippets, they could just like ask.
Exactly. Imagine a scenario where a developer encounters a bug.
Right.
Instead of spending, hours trying to figure out what went wrong.
Right.
They could simply describe the issue to an LLM powered by RAG.
And that LLM could potentially like pinpoint the problematic code, suggest solutions, or even like pull up relevant documentation from past projects.
You got it. And because it's drawing from the company's own internal knowledge base, the information is far more likely to be, accurate and relevant.
Okay.
This means, faster turnaround times, fewer errors, and a more efficient development process overall.
That's a pretty compelling case for RAG.
Yeah.
But the article does mention some potential risks, right?
Right. While the technology is, incredibly promising, it's not without its challenges.
Yeah.
One of the big ones is data security.
Especially when we start talking about, customer-facing applications.
Yeah.
Companies are going to have to be really careful about how they're handling all that data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're giving an LLM access to, sensitive customer information, you need to be like 100% certain that the system is secure and that data is being used responsibly.
Right.
That means, robust data governance policies, strict access controls, and a commitment to transparency with your customers.
It's a classic case of with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. And honestly, that's a theme that runs throughout the entire article.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just like adopt this technology because it's, cool or because everyone else is doing it.
Right.
Companies need to have a clear understanding of the potential risks and a plan for mitigating those risks.
It's like venturing into uncharted territory. You need to be prepared for the unexpected.
Right.
Speaking of unexpected, the article mainly focuses on using this tech internally, but I can't help but think about the possibilities for customer-facing applications.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine a world where customers could like interact with businesses through AI-powered chatbots that have access to a company's entire knowledge base.
No more navigating through those like clunky FAQs or getting stuck on hold waiting for a customer service rep. You could just like ask a question and get a personalized, accurate answer in seconds.
Right. It could like fundamentally change how we interact with businesses.
For sure.
But as you pointed out earlier, data privacy and security would be like paramount.
Imagine if those systems like went rogue or even worse, ended up like biased against certain groups of customers because of the data they were trained on.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But remember, these systems are only as good as the data we feed them and how we design their decision-making processes.
Which brings us back to the importance of responsible development and deployment.
Right.
It's like the article says, companies need to be thinking about how to build these systems in a way that's ethical, transparent, and accountable.
Couldn't agree more. And that means considering not just the technical aspects, but also the societal and ethical implications.
So it's not just about preventing those hallucinations we talked about earlier,
right?
But also about making sure the LLM isn't hallucinating its way into some like unethical behavior.
That's a great way to put it. We need to be thinking about the potential for bias, discrimination, and unintended consequences.
Right, and making sure that we have safeguards in place to like address those issues before they become major problems.
Right. We can't just like blindly trust these systems.
Right.
We need to be constantly monitoring them, testing them, and refining them to ensure that they're aligned with our values.
So it's less about set it and forget it and more about like constant vigilance.
Exactly. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
That's a great point. And it's something for all of us to think about, not just businesses.
Right.
As this technology becomes more prevalent in our lives, we all have a role to play in ensuring that it's used responsibly.
Absolutely. It's a shared responsibility.
So to bring it back to the HBR article, they lay out 6 key tactics for companies looking to implement LLM-powered search effectively and responsibly.
And these tactics really get at the heart of what we've been talking about. They emphasize the need for clear use cases, robust data governance, thorough testing and monitoring, and a commitment to ongoing learning and improvement.
It's a comprehensive approach that recognizes both the opportunities and the challenges of this technology.
It is, and it highlights the importance of a holistic strategy, one that considers not just the technical aspects, but also the human and ethical dimensions.
Okay, so let's dive into those 6 tactics.
Okay.
Number 1 on the list is define clear use cases. You've got to know what you want to achieve before you start like throwing LLMs at the problem.
It's like anything else in business.
Right.
You need a clear goal in mind.
All right.
Are you trying to improve, customer service, streamline your operations, accelerate innovation?
Sure.
Once you know what you want to achieve, you can start to identify the specific use cases where LLM-powered search can make the biggest impact.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, we need an AI for that.
Right.
It's about, here's the specific problem we're trying to solve with AI.
Right. And that leads us to tactic number 2.
Okay.
Prioritize use cases based on value A&D risk.
Okay.
Some applications might seem, tempting, but come with higher risks.
So it's a balancing act. You need to weigh the potential benefits against the potential downsides and prioritize the use cases that offer the best risk-reward ratio.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to start small.
Yeah.
You don't need to boil the ocean on day one, right?
Right.
Pick a use case where you can get some early wins, learn from your mistakes, and then scale up from there.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's like dipping your toes in the water before you dive headfirst into the deep end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, tactic number 3 is all about data quality. Invest in data quality. Remember, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, you can have the most sophisticated LLM in the world, but if you're feeding it bad data, you're going to get bad results.
Precisely.
Okay.
A clean, well-structured knowledge base is the foundation of accurate and insightful outputs.
Right.
So before you even think about implementing LLM-powered search, you need to make sure that your data is in order.
That means cleaning up your data, organizing it, and making sure that it's consistent and accurate.
Right, yeah.
Basically giving your LLM a fighting chance.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Now, tactic number 4 is all about ensuring the quality and reliability of your LLM-powered search. Standardized testing.
So you want to be confident that the system is performing as intended.
Right.
And delivering accurate and reliable results. That means, rigorous testing both during development and after deployment.
And it's not just about testing the LLM itself.
Right.
It's also about testing the entire system, including the data it's accessing, the interfaces users are interacting with,
right,
and the processes you put in place to manage the technology.
So it's a holistic approach to testing. You need to make sure that all the pieces are working together seamlessly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, tactic number 5 is all about staying ahead of the curve.
Okay.
Establish monitoring systems.
So data changes, user behavior changes, technology evolves. Having systems in place to track performance and adapt to these changes is essential.
Right. It's not a one and done deal, right? You need to constantly be monitoring the system, identifying areas for improvement, and making adjustments as needed.
So it's all about continuous improvement. Right. You need to be willing to iterate and adapt as you go.
Precisely. And that brings us to the final tactic, training and awareness.
Okay, so this is all about empowering your workforce with the knowledge and skills they need to use these tools effectively and responsibly.
It's not enough to just, have the technology. You need people who understand how to use it, who are aware of the potential risks, and who are committed to using it in a way that benefits everyone.
So it's about creating a culture of responsible AI adoption.
Exactly.
Oh.
And that starts with education and training. You need to make sure that your team, understands the technology, the ethical considerations, and the company's policies around its use.
It's like that old saying, with great power comes great responsibility. You've got to have the knowledge to use this tech wisely.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where having a knowledgeable workforce comes into play.
Well, that was a deep dive into those 6 tactics. Anything else we should unpack before we wrap up this deep dive?
Yeah, I think what really stands out to me is how this technology is kind of forcing us to rethink the way we work.
It's not just about, automating tasks. It's about augmenting human intelligence, right? LLMs can handle the heavy lifting of information retrieval and analysis, freeing us up to focus on higher level tasks that require, creativity, critical thinking, problem solving.
So it's less about replacing humans and more about, creating a more powerful partnership between humans and machines.
Yeah, I like that partnership because ultimately it's still up to us humans to make the decisions, to set the ethical boundaries and to ensure that this technology is being used for good. Couldn't
agree more. Technology itself is neutral. It's how we choose to use it that matters.
And that's something for all of us to think about as we navigate this new landscape of LLM-powered search. It's a powerful tool with the potential to transform businesses, industries, and even society as a whole.
It's an exciting time to be alive, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And on that note of cautious optimism, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the inner workings of RAG to the ethical considerations of customer-facing AI.
We've explored how LLMs are poised to revolutionize the way companies, access and utilize information, and we've highlighted the importance of, responsible development and deployment.
But most importantly, we've hopefully given you, our listener, a lot to think about.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, the future of LLM-powered search is not something that will be decided by like a select few.
Right.
It's a conversation that needs to involve all of us.
That's right.
So as you continue to explore the world of LLMs, we encourage you to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and engage in thoughtful dialogue about the potential benefits and risks of this transformative technology.
And never stop learning. You know, this field is constantly evolving, and what we know today might be different tomorrow.
That's the beauty of it all. It's a journey of discovery, and we're all in it together. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of LLM-powered search. Until next time, keep those minds curious.